Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and this week I am bringing you some $5 meals. These are going to be super easy, minimal ingredients, semi-healthy, and I'm going to show you what we ate for the week on around $4 to $5. Now, of course, your prices are going to vary in what state you are in. We are in northern Colorado. Prices are going up here, but we stocked up so we didn't have to get anything too extra at the grocery store. I will link my haul down below if you haven't seen that, but it was pretty minimal. So I'm going to put some things together. Like I say all the time, keep an open mind. Some of these recipes and ingredients may seem a little unique to you, but I promise you they taste great and they are filling. I am feeding a family of 4. I am vegan. My family eats the standard American diet, so there is a little bit for everyone in these recipes. I do have 2 toddlers, but they do like to eat and sometimes they're picky. So definitely make enough for what your family situation is. I will link all of the measurements and such down below, and if you are excited, let's get right into the video. The first dinner up on the $5 list is going to be this pineapple fried rice. Very adaptable. I'm going to start with some brown rice that I had already meal prepped. I have an 8-ounce can of diced pineapple. I have some soy sauce and sriracha, as well as some broccoli, carrots, and onion. It is a 1-pot meal. It is so easy. Throw everything in the pot with some salt and pepper, and then serve it with some spicy mayo. So I'm just using some of my homemade chickpea vegan mayo, and I'm also adding a little bit of sriracha in there, as well as some garlic powder, and it is super delicious. It hits the spot, and it is very filling. Next on the list is going to be this butternut squash penne. You are going to start out with a half a box of whole grain penne, but of course you could use whatever pasta you would like. I have this beef style broth. It's this new product at Whole Foods, and it makes around 24 quarts, I believe, of this broth. So you could use regular beef broth if you want. You just need a little bit of a splash. And then you're going to need some veggies. I'm doing broccoli, onion, spinach, and I am going to do this butternut squash. I just cooked it with some vegan butter and smashed it up. And then I'm also going to be using some cheddar shreds. I'm using the Miyoko's brand cheddar shreds. You're going to want to make sure those veggies get super soft. So I have a splash of olive oil in there, as well as a little bit of water. And then after that all goes in, you are going to put that broth in along with 8 ounces of water. You're going to put the butternut squash in, and it was sitting with that butter, so I'm just breaking it apart here. And then this is also a 1-pot meal, so just throw in the pasta. You don't have to cook it. All you're going to do is cover this with the water for around 12 minutes, and then you're going to add your cheese, melt it on there, and serve it with some tasty bread. This is super cozy, hits the spot, and again, very filling. Next on the list are going to be these sweet potato fries, scalloped Brussels sprouts, and some vegan crab cakes. I'm using chickpea, but of course you could use tuna or actual crab here, but we are trying to keep it under $5. So in this bowl, I have diced celery, diced onion, 1 can of rinsed chickpeas, as well as some Old Bay seasoning. I saved the chickpea liquid so I could make some homemade honey mustard, as well as some tartar sauce. So I've done mayo in the past. I will try and link that video down below, but it's very easy to make your own. And then all I did was dice up these Brussels sprouts. They were 50 cents at the farm market, so very inexpensive for us. And then you're going to use about 1/4 of this dairy-free cheese. They make the regular as well, but it's super cheap at my store right now, $2.99 with the $2 off coupon, so yay. And then I have these sweet potatoes that we grew in the garden. You don't have to grow them, but they are easy to find on the cheap, so they are 69 cents at the store right now. I'm going to start off with the Brussels sprouts. They are the ones that take the longest. Make sure you check out the description box. I go into more detail about how to make these items here, but this one is really easy. It's my cheater way of scalloped potatoes. You could use potatoes instead of Brussels, but this is how I make my scalloped potatoes. Really easy, and it goes quickly in the oven. So keep an eye on that. Make sure you're covering it with foil and let it go for around 25 to 30 minutes with those sweet potatoes coated in olive oil, salt, and pepper.
My future was blurry and numb, a tunnel where there's no light. Oh, but then you came and sat right next to me. Your eyes, they glowed and filled me up. We had never met before that time, but I just knew that we'd end up. You took it.
Next on the list are going to be these poor man's crab cakes. I actually got this recipe from the Grange cookbook. I just did a cookbook collab with the Pennsylvania State Grange cookbook, and they use tuna instead of chickpeas, but I'm using chickpeas. I'm actually adding about a 1/2 cup of flour in here just to make it nice and thick. I'm going to get some oil heated up on the stove here, and once it's liquid enough, I'm going to form these little things into patties and pan fry them for around 6 to 7 minutes on each side or until golden brown.
How did you know how I felt? You saw right through me that day. I was lost in space, but you pulled me down and wiped away those cloudy thoughts. I could see the sky when you were close to me. I can't believe what you.
Here is everything laid out once it has all been cooked, but I just put those little crab cakes on some paper towels. The sweet potato fries are super crispy and bursting with flavor. We put some fresh garlic in there. This is the honey mustard. I just used some regular mustard, the vegan mayo I was talking about, and a little bit of maple syrup. Of course, you could use honey instead. These are those Brussels sprouts. So good. That onion really gives it something. I know it sounds so simple, but I think it just makes it taste like that classic scalloped potato, but with Brussels sprouts. And then the crab cakes came out super crispy. They were delicious. My only change would be to put a little bit more dill in there. And I served that with some tartar sauce, using the vegan mayo, some black pepper, chopped pickle, and a little bit of a lemon juice. And everything was so good. Everything was gone, so no leftovers here. Including the potato pizza bake from my cookbook collab. I will link that recipe down in the description box, as well as those fall enchiladas. If you did not catch yesterday's video, go ahead and check that out. But both under $5 and super simple to make. Now, the next recipe is going to be breakfast for dinner. I always like to include these in the $5 meals just because they are so easy to make. We love breakfast for dinner. It's fun for the kids, and they are are going to be really filling in my opinion. So we are going to use some tomatoes from the garden, some potatoes here to make a funeral potato casserole. We have some eggs and we have some tortillas. I'm actually going to end up using regular bread to make egg in the hole, egg in the nest, whatever you want to call it. I'm shredding the potatoes here, and I need to find a new way to do this. Honestly, I always cut my knuckle in some way. You will see right here. So I gave up and I just cut the rest of the potatoes. I'm going to soak it in a little bit of water and some salt to get some of the starches out. And then I'm going to press the water out of it so it crisps up nicely into my cast iron. I love making this in the cast iron. That way I can get all of the air quote dairy products in there and melt it down before I put it in the oven. So in my cast iron, I'm going to put some Simple Truth vegan cream cheese, a little bit of butter, a little bit of oat milk, salt, pepper, garlic, and I'm going to fry the potatoes with onions. After that all melts down, I'm going to put it in the oven for around 20 minutes at 400.
I can't let you go, baby. Take care, cause that man is trouble, you best beware. And though deep down I know I might be headed for teardrops, now that you got me started, I just can't stop. No, cause I love you, baby.
Now for these egg in the holes, or whatever your family calls them, drop them down in the comments. It's always interesting to me to hear what everyone calls different recipes. I'm going to use the pumpkin and the ghost cutout, but you could just cut out a hole. I thought it might be fun, and the kids love things like this. So here I am trying to get this pumpkin out. I did it upside down, so that's why it took me 2 tries, but I'm going to get all of these cut out, and then I'm going to spread the butter on one side and then melt some butter in the pan while those potatoes are cooking. And then I'm also serving this with homemade bruschetta. I use my bruschetta a little differently than other people, I guess, but I make it a little differently as well. So we have some homegrown cherry tomatoes in there. They are the heirloom variety. And then I also have some homegrown garlic. I was excited that that came out. And I have some green onions that I'm going to throw in there. Here is everything laid out. My egg in the hole has no egg in it, and I'm going to put everything together and then top it with some balsamic glaze. My balsamic glaze was on sale for $1. Go check your Kroger's. I'm hoping they have that sale for you too. I know it's not always the same, but it was super delicious. Everything came out really good, and I had leftovers, which was awesome. It always makes me happy when we have leftovers because we can just keep on eating and save money the next day. So here is my plate. I hope you enjoyed this breakfast for dinner. I think it's a little different than your average. All right, moving on to the last recipe. We are making some of those meatballs that I talked about a few videos ago. People wanted to see the recipe, so all you need is some instant mashed potatoes. I'm using the original because it is vegan from what I can see, and then I'm going to use a can of chili. This is the vegetarian, but you could use meat. All you do is mix that together, smush it all together, and it forms these really delicious meatballs. And I'm going to serve it with some curry couscous. I'm going to use some frozen broccoli, bell pepper, and onion, as well as 2 teaspoons of curry powder. This could not be easier. This is one of those meals that I was talking about where you have to keep an open mind. Maybe you're thinking, hey, these flavors don't go together. I try and not have that attitude in the kitchen. I just throw whatever I can together, especially when I'm trying to save money. So this costs around $3 to make with the portions that I made, and I encourage you to try it. I'm going to serve it with a country gravy, but you could serve it as is, and this fed us for 2 days, and then I have some left over for lunch for the week. So yay! I really hope you try this one. Let me know if you do. So you are just cooking your couscous however your directions say. I'm using the high altitude, so you're going to need your couscous, you're going to need some curry powder. I'm doing 2 teaspoons. Can you hear a train in the background? I'm sorry, that's random. Anywho, I can't stop it. I'm going to put in some olive oil as well, stir that all together, and then I'm adding my vegetables as well as my boiling water. So I, at the high altitude, have 2 3/4 cup of hot water. I'm going to cover that with a plate, and I am going to let that sit for around 10 minutes while the meatballs cook, and I'm going to get started on that gravy.
All the lights are out, I'll call you back. Never need to say goodbye. I'll come back later by your door. Is there any place you wanna go? 2 islands and nobody inside. You and me together in the night, but someone else.
Again, the gravy is optional, but I had enough in my budget to keep this under $5, so I would add it if I were you. It adds a really great flavor. I'm going to use a tablespoon of butter and then about a tablespoon of that beef broth concentrate. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of flour, and then I'm going to add in around 4 ounces of oat milk, and then I'm going to add in around 8 ounces of water. I have some dried parsley and pepper in there, and this is how I make my Swedish meatball gravy as well. It's like my take on a country gravy. I'm going to take those meatballs after they are out of the oven, and I'm going to let them simmer in there and cook and get all the flavors going together. Now, I know I'm going to get asked, does this taste like a meatball? Of course not. No, it is made from beans, so you are not going to get that meat texture. But if you get the idea, it is a plant-based version of this. So I am excited about how these turned out. The flavors, so unique, but very, very good together. I encourage you to try this recipe. Let me know if you do.
You thought I feel so close to you.
All right, my friends, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you got some meal inspirations and to cook for the week on a budget. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative, and I will see you next time. Bye, y'all.